What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Tears of Fears. And we're going back to Everybody Loves a Happy Ending, 2004. Once again, shout out to Philip, shout out to Kim, shout out to Michael, shout out to Kevin, shout out to Shelly, shout out to all the folks who've been following the Tears of Fears deep dive now for almost a year and a half. Like, it's been a long time, because it was one of the first synth pop groups I started going through, because I had that Shamrock vinyl of Head Over Heels, I remember. Nevertheless, the next tune is Who You Are, which speaks to identity, which, as someone who studied history and anthropology, and indeed part of my master's thesis related to perceptions of identity and involvement with the Muskogee peoples or the Creek peoples, where, again, identity very much factored into it. Bottom line, identity... it's a combination of psychology, society, culture, genetics, and physical characteristics as well, but ultimately, in any given different situation, the particular weights or influences of those different factors will vary. Nevertheless, it is not a absolute process, nor is it a permanent process. It is a, constant process, an ongoing process, both for humans individually and collectively. And I would also say that studying history and anthropology, one of the things you learn is that perhaps the most defining characteristic of humans is that they're hard to define, they're hard to pin down. We are very plastic, adaptable, we can acclimate ourselves to a wide variety of even completely diametrically opposed conditions and circumstances. So who you are is something that is not, at least by my perception, you would never give an absolute unchanging answer, because, what that is will depend on what you've been through, where you came from, and, ultimately a range of other factors. Now, who you are here could just be something between two people, like I finally discovered who you are, I know your true self after being with you for many years, or it could be who you are is always chimerical, it changes, but it's not so much making a point about humanity as it is that particular human. So I do wonder on what scale, I do wonder if it's framed more as a question, or if it's, the narrator, the speaker has a clear conception, at least in their mind. And that's, not to get into the Jungian philosophy or psychology, but the idea that, I have a perception of who I am, but I don't always see every side of myself behaviorally or literally physically, but other people are not privy to the psycho-emotional and, cognitive nuances going on inside my brain, including when I'm sitting there silently. So, what is my identity? It depends if you ask me, if you ask someone else, and, both of those answers would be necessarily incomplete. Before I confuse myself more, let's hear it. This is Tears for Fears. The track is Who You Are, and it's from the 2004 album Everybody Loves a Happy Ending.
Someone's drinking all alone. Someone's left the TV on. I don't suppose. No, I don't suppose. Someone's sleeping in my bed.
It's Goldilocks.
Someone's let the genie in. I don't suppose. No, I don't suppose. You know who
What is You Don't Know?
Baby's coming down again, taken by the tide again. It's no surprise she hates goodbye.
back into the consonants. But it's interesting, I don't suppose it's like, it's non-committal, which I guess you can only know part of the story. Very sweet sonic tune, interrupted by interrupted by Tears for Fears cyclonic time portal dragging us back to maybe before the reaction or maybe through earlier years. Either way, I'm not sure what happened just now. But a sufficiently perplexing end, in a good way, to a tune that had a bit of confusing mystery to it, and that most of it had this sonic brightness to it. Again, the idea, I don't suppose you know who you are, or I don't know if that was the exact phrasing, but it sounds like that he was saying, like, I don't suppose you know who you are today. And I feel indeed like some of the lines that I caught, at least in part, spoke to some of the aspects I was thinking about identity. The idea that it's fluid, it's always in flux, it's never static. And then secondarily, that, you know, I suppose it's perception, and it's acknowledging that there's a subjective perception. So again, getting to the idea that no one knows in any sense, you know, who a person is 360 degrees, all the way through the past, all the way into the future, because again, like, other people aren't in your head, and then you're not seeing yourself through their eyes. So it did feel like those kind of themes were touched upon, but I'm not quite sure what's happening. And those dissonant, discordant sections were really interesting, offset against what was otherwise a sonically elevating and uplifting sounding tune. So really interesting one. Again, it felt like on the lead, was that Kurt? I still feel very hesitant, but I don't know, something about the way the vocals started, it, like, my brain was like, oh, is that Kurt? So I don't know why, like, it shot to that hypothesis so quickly, but either way, enjoyed the track. Like, it felt short until that last section, I have to say. Yeah, 3:41, and, you know, it sort of faded out for about 10 seconds, and then it came back for what, like 20, 25, so it feels like the main part of that tune was just about maybe 3 minutes long. But I am curious to hear what people have to say, as I found the phrase interesting enough, and that was before I heard some lyrics that made me curious how they fit into the dynamic, even if it seems it is in that territory. In any case, as I said, shout out to Philip for making this album and the, you know, Tomcat Screaming Outside that we went through before it available, as well as everybody who's been in the TFF Deep Dive for however long you've been here. I know, like, people arrived at different times, and there's some people who, you know, didn't comment right away. Again, big shout out to Kim. I know she had seen videos for a little while before she commented on the start of the breakdown, which I do, like, it's weird because I don't always remember things like that, but something about the way that reaction played out when that melody first came in, and then Kim commented on that melody specifically, so I do always recall that. In any case, shout out to you all. Do let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Peace.